Guys, welcome to episode 2 of the Dubai Diary podcast. Haven't worked out what the formal intro is to this yet, and I'm smiling because just behind the camera, my little boy, well, our little boy, I've just claimed him, has just woken up looking very sleepy and is just watching. He's like our live audience for the podcast today. And I think what he's actually waiting for is to go, can you guys hurry up so I can put Phase Rug on YouTube? Love you, Reg. That's a nod. So in this episode, we're going to answer some of we call it subscriber questions. So across, let's just say TikTok and YouTube, there's always a bunch of questions and comments, and we're now trying to save those into a doc that Sara manages. And it's like, all right, let's just try and tackle these in a pod. So every 3-4 weeks, we'll do a subscriber listener pod and try and answer some of the questions that you guys have. So should we jump straight into the first question? All right, over to you. You like doing the hosty bit, so do you want to read the first question?
Yeah, so question 1 came in from K Samuels 3116. Shout out.
Don't do that every time. If you're just listening to this, by the way, sorry, I literally just threw a peace sign. Don't do that every time, please.
How would you estimate the upfront cost to be to relocate? Mainly the visas, attestation, licenses, for example, but excluding accommodation seems so expensive.
Yeah, agree with the seems so expensive thing. I think we're going to divide and conquer on this one, aren't we? I'm going to cover off the visa part of it. So from a visa perspective, I think there's 2 channels that me and Sara have been down. So for mine, I got my visa under an employment visa with a company that I work with in the UK that also has a Dubai entity. So to talk through that costing, that was sort of like an all-in-one costing. That was about 7,500 dirhams, which is £1,600. And what that covers is sort of the visa allocation, the employment visa, the medical and the biometrics to the point where you can go from landing here to getting your Emirates ID, which is sort of the do not pass go, do not collect £200 thing, isn't it? It's like you need your Emirates ID to unlock everything. Mm-hmm. In terms of the track that Sara went on, because Sara set up her own business out here, again, extremely similar process, but I've actually got the costings itemized in this situation. So the visa allocation is 1,850 dirhams, so 390 quid. Sara's got something called a partner visa. So when you set up your own business, you have to get either a partner or an investor visa. That comes down to the role and responsibility you'll have in the company. So because Sara is actively involved in that business, she's classed as a partner. If she was just putting cash in, she would then be classed as an investor. So it'd be an investment visa. I don't know the details, the downstream impacts of like what the difference are. But I just know that Sara's involved, so it's a partner visa. And then the medical, excuse my cough. All of that start to finish was £1,700. From landing, spending £1,700, that then put Sara in a position where she got her Emirates ID. Saying Sara's if you're not here, put you in the position to get your Emirates ID. So that hopefully gives you a steer of like how much the visas are. In terms of business license, I didn't want to try and cover this in too much detail because they range. There's so many different prices and costs that you can go to depending on what the business is, how many visas you need, which free zone you set up in. But I would say, as a ballpark, you're going to be expecting to pay anywhere between £3,000 and £8,000. And I know that's a really wide range, but that completely depends on where you're setting up. And really important to note, these aren't like a pay once and you're done. Your visas expire. So wherever you go and get your visas from, you'll be given options for like a 2, 3 or 5 year visa. You have a company registration that you're going to need to renew. There are so many fees that you have to consider. And if that's of interest to people, by the way, please let me know in the comments and I can do a full video of like everything that Sara's gone through. So obviously I've been involved in that process in detail when it comes to the finances to sort of like break out all the costs. And we've got like year 1, year 2, and then ongoing costs. And I'm happy to do a talking head video and talk about that in more detail. But hopefully that gives you a steer. So you're looking at about 1,700 quid from landing, medicals, ID, and all that to get medicals and biometrics to get your Emirates ID. Do you want to cover off the attestation stuff?
Yeah, I feel like I was going to sneeze then.
Thanks for not.
So the attestation, annoying this was, wasn't it? So I definitely think that
So it still is annoying.
it still is annoying, yeah. It's still not sorted. But definitely, if we'd have known about it in the UK, we could have got it done, and I'm confident it would have been a shorter time frame and cheaper.
Yep.
So the attestation is only done for the children's visas. So to get our kids' visas, we need to get their birth certificates and our marriage certificate attested. So the birth certificate cost was, for both of them, 3,340 AED, which is £708. And then our marriage certificate, bearing in mind, I'm not sure if this was more expensive for us because we got it done in Cyprus.
Yeah.
We got married in Cyprus. It was 2,257 AED, which was £478. And then rough time frames for that is like 15 to 22 working days.
As an edit. On that, we're not going to mention the companies that we've had it done with at the moment, because we haven't got the finished product back yet. Like, we're still waiting for it, but on the basis that that goes well, we'll share with you the company and all that, and I guess the process in more detail.
Yeah.
But I guess the jury's still out on that one.
Yeah, I wouldn't want to recommend anyone until we know that it's successful.
All we know right now is that the two different companies have our kids' birth certificates and our marriage certificate, and we'll see if they return fully attested.
Over £1,000.
And over that, yeah, exactly. Let me ask the next one, because I think you're grabbing this. All the way up asks, if you don't mind, I would like to know why you guys didn't go for Marina and you ended up there. There meaning, I guess, hit where we are here in Heartlands. Just because of schools, or is there any other reason? Do you want to grab this?
Yeah, so we love Dubai Marina, and that's where we've always stayed when we've had an apartment, when we've come over here. We've booked an Airbnb, an apartment at Marina, because it's a really good base. We like the Marina area, shops, restaurants, the water, and it's close to like JBR and Blue Waters as well, like walking distance. So for us, it's like a real great base. We only chose Shoba Heartlands to live based on the school. So we looked at 3 schools, because for us, it seemed a hard thing to think about. There's loads of different areas to live. And I feel like if you'd have looked around everywhere, I dread to think how long that would have actually taken. So for us having children, our priority was, let's look at the schools, and from then we can then look at the area, because we wanted to be within walking distance as well to the school. And that's kind of how we ended up here. Like, we didn't know anything about the area, did we?
Nope.
We chose Heartland International School.
There's a whole video on that, by the way, on the vlog. Like, if you're looking for schools at the moment, we do a whole video of the 3 schools, the pricing and the process that we went through.
But yeah, I think we didn't know about this area prior to viewing the school, and then it was kind of like, well, we need to find somewhere that's within walking distance in Shoba Heartlands to the school, because that was key for us, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's key. It's definitely key for us at year 1. I think me and you are having a conversation at the moment as to whether, because naturally, like, different areas, and when you're close to certain things. So this is an awesome area. It's close to the school. It's also very close to downtown. Like, for the Burj and the Dubai Mall, it's like a 7-8 minute drive. There's a consideration for us when we decide to buy a place as to whether we stay here or whether we go slightly further afield, which would then involve either like a bus for the kids or a commute in every day. I think we're just saying right now we want us to be in walking distance, and we're going to work it out for years 2 onwards. I think just as a last build on that, a friend of ours have just moved to Marina, actually, and I spent a bit of time there yesterday. It's an awesome location, just to be clear. Like, I was checking the view from his place yesterday, and to be able to like drop onto the Marina Promenade and just have that walk. And I've just got a newborn, and to be able to like go out in the evening with a stroller and enjoy that. It's an awesome place. What's up?
Did you just say stroller?
Is that wrong?
Oh, did we have a stroller, or did we have a pushchair or a pram?
I don't even know the difference. So
we are so American since coming here. I think I even referred to in a video yesterday, I said ATM.
Wow.
I think I said I went to the ATM.
It's because of him. It's because of Reg. Like, he Americanizes everything because
Yeah.
of the YouTube channels he watches. But it's definitely an awesome location. I think when you're thinking about the location you're moving to Dubai, there are so many different vibes that you can get. It really comes to, I would think first, don't think about the location I want to move to. I would think, what is the lifestyle and the vibe that I want? We wanted to be near the school, to walk the kids to school every day and pick them up and be part of a community. And that was our driving, like, that drove our decisions. If you want to be close to the thick of it and you want to be close to great restaurants, great bars, and close to the beach, and that's really important to you, then I would say work out what you want before you come to Dubai and start looking, and then find the stuff that matches, because everywhere's pretty awesome. You can fall in love with it.
Yeah. Just to, I guess, add on to that as well, I think even when we were looking at places to live in Shoba, for us, the amenities were really important as well, like in the apartment blocks. Because ultimately we wanted to make friends, even though we were in an apartment block and maybe not like in a gated community like Arabian Ranches or Damac Hills. We still wanted to feel like we were part of something, even though we were in an apartment block.
And that's been working out. Like, the kids have made friends.
Yeah.
So that's been good. Let's move on. Do you want to ask the next one? I'm asking you to ask it because I can't find it.
I don't know how to say this. Ud Uppy Samba. I'm going to go with that. I apologise if it's wrong. Said, how long were you in the country to get this done before you could fly out, from day one of landing to getting your digital Emirates ID?
So
this is both.
I didn't have this question on my list, but I'll jump in.
Wow, absolute fail.
Absolute fail. So the question is how long were you in the country before getting your Emirates ID? I think I covered this off in another question, actually. So from my situation, because we weren't living in the country when I got my Emirates ID sorted, and I guess just an important note, you kind of pay for service out here. So I've heard a couple of nightmare stories where people have been in the country trying to get their Emirates ID, and they have taken a cheaper option of like getting their medical and their biometrics done. And what that basically means is the window that you have to be in the country is longer. We paid a slight premium for both of us, and I say slight premium, it is a few extra £100, but it kind of accelerated that whole process. So I knew I could land and get my medical and my biometrics done within 3 days of landing. And from that point, I needed to be in the country, had to wait for a change of status. So I was in and out of the country within 5 days. I got my digital ID from landing 5 days later. After medical and biometrics, I was able to fly back home. And from your perspective, do you want to cover that off?
Yeah, so my Emirates ID was ready for me to collect 28 days after we landed. But
Sorry, your Emirates ID was available 28 days after you landed?
Yeah.
I don't understand where you got that from. Talk to me.
I looked at the calendar and worked out how many days it was. From the day that we landed, there was a lot of paperwork for us to sort.
Yeah, but just to be clear on that, though, it doesn't take that long. That's because that was like rolled into a wider company application, and the company needed to get set up first. I think it's important to split the two out.
Oh yeah, but I kind of do that in a later one. Like that is what they're asking, though.
Cool. All this is staying in here, by the way.
No,
I think it's important.
That's fine, but there was.
I'm also refusing to edit this.
There was a lot of stuff that we had to keep logging into the dashboard and doing and submitting and things like that. So
yeah, I agree.
It's not fair to say, it's a separate question. How long was it from when you did your medical and your biometrics? Did you get your Emirates ID?
No, I disagree.
That's a separate question.
I disagree, because what you're doing is you're coupling like the company setup with the Emirates ID. Because I would say the key point to drive home here, in my opinion, is on the basis that you are just looking at your Emirates ID and trying to get your medical and biometrics done to get your Emirates ID, that whole thing can be done in 5 working days. If you've got to wait for some other stuff to happen up front, which might be company setup, other things, then that's going to take longer. But if you're paying the extra few £100 to get it done, you can get this whole thing turned around in 5 days, 100%. So what I don't want people thinking is that, hey, it takes 28 days and you've got to be in country for 28 days, because you just don't.
Yeah. No, that's fair, but I'm answering the question.
Okay.
Which we will cover off later on about medical and things like that, because it's another question.
Cool. Should we move on before we
I
enter
came
into domestic?
prepared, you winged it.
I didn't wing it. I've got something similar. I just didn't have that question on my list. I'm going to move on to Rayman86's question, okay?
Okay.
Who says, how easy is it to open a bank account there as a non-resident? Did you DIY the visa, bank account, company setup, etc., or did you use a third-party company to help navigate this? So I'll unpack that. I thought you couldn't open a bank account up as a non-resident. After doing a bit of research ahead of this, apparently you can, but there's lots of limitations on what the bank account can do, and you need to be able to prove why you need a local bank account as a non-resident. So apparently you can. I struggled because I was desperately trying to get a bank account sorted, and I needed to get my residency visa, Emirates ID, and my phone set up before I could even open the bank account up. So
just to touch on that, it was the checkbook as well that we needed.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we needed the bank account to get the checkbook, because we need the checkbook to get the apartment, because everything works off checks here, which comes off on a later question. So apparently you can. I didn't, so I don't want to speak to it as a non-resident set up a bank account. But I would say if you're moving here, it feels like there are limitations on what that bank account will be able to do anyway. So just be aware of that. And if you are checking that out and it's to get an apartment or something, if one of the limitations is you don't get a checkbook, you can't get an apartment. So just be aware of that. And then it says, like, did we DIY the visa, bank account, and company setup? So everyone that you bump into will try and sell you the service. So the visa, you can get it done yourself, but that would scare the life out of me in trying to get that done. We just paid for it. For mine, via the UK entity that has the Dubai entity, that got paid for to a third party. Sara's went through a free zone, that all got paid for, someone else doing the whole visa application. I think it's a good use of funds if you are coming out here to get a third party to do it. But they'll then also, and so that's for like the visa and the company. They'll also offer to do everything else for you, like set your bank account up. I didn't use that because it seems pretty simple to set a bank account up. So we set up the WEO business account, you set up your WEO personal account. That was all super straightforward, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. So that was nice and easy. I think even from like a bank account perspective, I just heard that from my pal that lives out here, like MBD, which is the National Bank of Dubai, if you want to set up a bank account, they will literally come to where you are on the basis you have a physical location and address. They will come do all the paperwork, set the account up. You don't have to go and sit in the bank. So it's super easy to set up your own bank account. I wouldn't pay for that service, but everything else so far we've paid for. Okay. Anything else to build on that?
No.
Anything you disagree with there? You've got that look about you.
Yeah, it was just when you said pal. I don't think I've ever heard you say pal before.
Okay.
My pal. My buddy old pal.
All right, what's next?
I probably should have like practiced saying these handles first. Bina Freak. That is probably so wrong. 7223. Apologies if I get any of these completely wrong. Can you tell us the school fee per year? So, as I said previously, we chose Heartland International School. So the school fees vary based on different schools. So check that out.
There's a wide range as well.
There's a wide range of schools along with their fees.
Yep.
So Heartland is a British curriculum school as well, because that was what we wanted.
And it's toppy. I'm just going to say it, like the fees that you're about to share, we're fully aware that there are, as I said, there is a range. We can only speak to what we've gone for, but it is arguably one of the top-tier prices, just to make that clear. Which is why Sara in the previous vlog asked for a GoFundMe page.
No, you did.
Yeah, I suppose.
So for Riley, who's going into year 6.
By the way, I'm sorry, I'm in my own head now. I feel like I need to address the GoFundMe page, because that, in case no one's watched the previous vlog, that GoFundMe page was because Sarah didn't read the detail when we decided to go to the Burj for breakfast, and it ended up costing us like 2.5, 3 times more. So it was a joke. In case someone hears this and goes, "Oh, is there actually a GoFundMe page for this?" No, there's not. Sorry.
I like how we had to just get that little dig in as well there.
Did you just address the vlog as if it was a person and go, "Do you?"
Yeah, I did.
Okay, interesting.
So
you're bringing them into our domestic. Yeah.
So for Riley, that is going into year 6, it is 59,180 AED, which is £12,578. And then Reggie, who is going into year 4, 57,066 AED, which is £12,129.
So 25k. So we basically thought it's basically like 30k sterling for the kids' education, including the other stuff that they're likely going to be exposed to and other fees throughout the year.
School uniform.
School uniform. Yeah, painful. All right, where are you going next? Because mine seem to be in a slightly different order to yours, and I'm not entirely sure how. I did have that one on my list as well. What's the next question?
At Sandy Apai 12, I've got these so wrong. How many days from the day of landing did you get your bank account sorted? So medical tests, biometric, Emirates ID, and then bank account. Also, would we need a tenancy contract to process and sponsor dependents visa? Would a short-term let be able to give this?
Cool. So we've largely covered this off previously, but just to wrap up a few bits that I've got on my notes here. WIO was same day. So WIO is like a digital platform bank. So probably the best way to think about WIO, especially if you're in the UK, is think of it like a Revolut or a Starling or a Monzo or something like that, where there's no like physical bank account that you can walk into. So they were like set up same day, super easy for both the personal and the business account. In terms of like that company, from a WIO perspective, just to explain that it is still a safe and secure bank. It's backed by a consortium of other banks. There's like 4 other banks that are physical banks that I guess are the underlying financing and security behind that. Because I was always nervous looking at like banks out here, because it's just where it's where you put all your money. So I'm like, okay, what is this thing called WIO, and is it safe to put all the cash in? It is. It has Alpha Dhabi Holding, ADQ, which is Abu Dhabi Development Holding Company, First Abu Dhabi Bank, which is FAB, and which is a bank over here. So there's like 4 banks. I'm geeking out a little bit.
You did your research, didn't you?
It's what I cared about, because I'm like, okay, if this bank goes pop, how F do we, sort of attitude. Yeah. So it is secure. It's a really nice user interface and bits like that. But it is also not a place that you can walk into. So we are also exploring now. Well, I'm exploring getting a bank account with NBD, so National Bank of Dubai also. And then
one thing on that, it's probably just for me and you, but I need to order a physical card.
Yeah, agree.
I don't know how to do that in the app. So I actually find the app, I don't think it's as straightforward as probably, but you spent more time in it.
Yeah. So also, just on that, by the way, just to go slightly down a finance route, is you get some really like healthy interest rates here. So if you've got some, so what we've done is like put cash aside for the lumpy stuff we've got coming up. So the quarterly checks that go out, the school fees, stick that into a savings pot, which is a flexible savings pot, and you get like 4.35, 4.5% interest. And it's meaningful. And to see that notification come through every month and say, hey, you've got 100 quid on that part, 200 quid on that part.
He loves it.
I do love it. It's just free cash. So I enjoy it. So just, I guess, look at that as well. And then just to come back to the question, your physical Emirates ID was super fast. So
I've got this.
You've got that. I left the country once I got my digital ID, and I got mine shipped out to me. So yeah. I came back to the UK. They shipped my Emirates ID to me, and then I brought that back over because that was needed to get my phone contract and my bank account to get the checkbook. So do you want to just speak to your experience?
So I had my medical and biometrics done 26 days after we landed. 2 days later, I had my Emirates ID. Then that same day, I got my phone contract, and that allowed me to open my bank account.
So within
Again,
72 days from like getting your
we,
biometrics done, you had your phone contract and bank account set up.
Days or hours?
72 hours. Thank you. Perfect. Let's move on.
Yeah.
Next question.
And
I keep glancing back here just to make sure it's still recording.
Also, to note as well, with our service, which I do think was better than yours, so someone picked me up, and then the medical and biometrics was done on the same day, but at different locations. And I think I was probably out for about an hour and a half.
Yeah, your service was better. I actually, by the way, I think I made a mistake because when you explained to me that there was a queue, but you went to like this separate area to get to the front of the queue.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was a massive queue. I just jumped in the queue like I was a local. At that point I was thinking like, I'm going to be a local. So I kind of just jumped into the thick of it with like 50 people in a queue to get all this sorted. I actually think I could have gone to a different queue, a premium service that we paid for.
No, was it different locations?
No, so was mine.
Oh.
Mine was at different locations. They're all at different locations.
Okay.
One's a medical facility and one's a place you do your biometrics and your photo.
Yeah.
Cool. But what I'm saying is I think I paid for something and didn't get that service.
Okay.
That's my fault.
And like men are not going to care about this, but the photo that you made me do that we had to submit, I think it was before we even got to Dubai.
Yeah.
Starting the process of the company, that was what they've used on my Emirates ID. So luckily, I actually look okay. Whereas you got yours, they took a photo of you while you were getting your fingerprints, and that's what was used. Whereas
you're saying I don't look okay?
No, I'm just saying. Like if you have to take a photo and submit a photo, just be aware that that might be the one that ends up on your Emirates ID. Therefore, also that photo is then used when you convert your driver's license. So I'm just saying because
you're right. I think every guy doesn't care, and maybe every woman does.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. Next question.
We've got K Samuels again. K Samuels 3116. I feel like every time K Samuels I need to do that. Did you not want to ship over your furniture, etc., from the UK? Is it cheap to buy in Dubai?
Well, I've dovetailed this into another question, by the way, with Ardashar 9666. So let's just tackle them both together.
Okay.
And that question was, any reason you decided to buy everything new rather than shipping from the UK?
Yeah.
So let's just tackle stuff in the UK and shipping.
Do the first bit, and then I do like shipping and furniture.
So the reason we didn't, I forgot this right, you want me to cover this bit? The reason that we didn't ship everything over is we thought we had our forever home in the UK. And we'd got it nice and all the furniture was perfect for it and we were happy and we didn't want to sell that home. And we're in a position where my mum was in the process of moving home anyway. So my mum has moved into our family home. So she's renting that. So it kind of felt weird rugging my mum of all the furniture, knowing that she'd have to replace it all herself. So she just moved into it and had like a turnkey solution on the property. So she's been able to go in and all the furniture and everything was left there. That was my key driver. Look after mumsy, basically, was my goal.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to take that away from you, but I think like we knew that we would never have shipped, like we lived in a 4-bed house in the UK. 4-bed house furniture is not going to go into an apartment space.
I agree. We weren't going to ship it, but we would have sold it because our furniture would have paid for the furniture here.
Oh yeah, but that's not what they're asking.
No, but listen, you can't be black and white with this. Like, what the question is like shipping furniture over here. The inference there, the stuff that isn't asked but is still important is, okay, what did you do with your furniture in the UK? We didn't sell it. We just left it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So you're so annoying. So we looked at shipping some bits over, didn't we? Like
a gaming PC.
Gaming PC, stuff that we thought
that's for Riley, by the way.
It's a bit lumpy to put it into, obviously, the Peloton, which never made it here either. So we were going to ship some bits over, but what we found out was unless you're filling up a full container, which you would if you were taking your whole house or apartment, whatever you lived in the UK, with you over here, so then it would be stop it. Then it would be shipped straight away. Whereas if you were only using so much space of a container, it would sit there with your belongings in until it was full. So you've already got a 16-week lead time if it was coming over on a ship. That is longer if it was waiting to be filled. And
you can get that slightly down, but directionally right, yeah.
Yeah, and then if you were getting it by air, it was shorter time frame.
Sea freight and air freight.
Sea freight and air freight.
Shorter and expensive.
Yeah,
100%.
So
it was the sequencing of timings there that was like, we just didn't want to deal with that faff, because the idea of Riley being here without a gaming PC for weeks, I would have thrown him out off the balcony.
Well, it's not even that. I also think, like, if you can be without it for 16 weeks, because it was also, it's like the TV as well. Like, you know, we were going to ship the Xbox. Well, what's he going to play it on if you also shipping TVs and stuff like that?
That's what I'm saying.
There's all these considerations that, and unless you actually, because we sat down and went through the whole house and made a list, didn't we, of like, you know, what would we take and what are we going to leave here? But then when we thought, well, hang on a minute, like, we can put the Xbox in the suitcase, but he's not going to have anything to play it on. So that was our reasoning behind buying stuff here. So
we ended up just packing 7 large suitcases and getting life in those cases and buying everything else here.
But we did also bring 4. I was thinking about it the other day, actually. We did bring 4 suitcases full of stuff when we came out here to do the apartment, and then we left stuff here.
Just for people that don't know that journey, in case you haven't followed the vlog, is we came out here, spent 72 hours doing a mad run, kitting the apartment out fully, then went back to the UK for 3 weeks, and then brought the kids back out here on the 4th of July, Independence Day. Yeah.
So talking about furniture and the cost here, like, we found the furniture to be reasonably priced.
You mentioned home centre now, aren't you? You're smiling because you're going to say the word home centre. On that note, by the way, we won't mention them by name. Doesn't feel appropriate, but we bumped into a couple down at Creek Harbour the other day, and they were like, they came and said hi, which was wonderful, and got their number, and we're going to hang out, which is awesome off the back of the vlog. And they were like, we'd never heard of Home Centre, and we've kitted the apartment out with Home Centre. So Home Centre for the win. So this is not sponsored in any way by Home Centre. I don't feel like I need to say that, but some part of me feels like I just need to put a disclaimer out. It's just cool.
So yeah, we found the furniture and bits like that reasonably priced, but like anything, you can go super cheap or super expensive. We bought the majority from Home Centre, iKit and OC Home. For us in choosing furniture was also how quick we could get it because of that window that we're only here for. So
yeah, good point.
You know, we kind of, the big thing was how quick can we get it delivered, and do you do assembly?
Yep. Only 2 questions I cared about.
Yeah.
I didn't actually care what you were buying. I just wanted to know that I didn't have to
here, like, delivery was super fast. We ordered stuff on a Thursday. Some stuff arrived on the Friday. The other stuff arrived on Saturday. So again, super fast. And assembly was included with Home Centre.
As I would say, as default, it's assembly over anything that's a reasonable order, like 1,000 dirhams, but just check.
Yeah, but iKit, we paid for like express delivery, which came with assembly anyway, I believe.
Yep.
And the boys had Reggie had like a high bed with a desk underneath, and Riley had one of those at home, and I think it took you like a day to put it up at home, whereas this guy, I mean, they were in that in a couple of hours, weren't they?
Yeah, 100%. Well worth the money.
Definitely worth it.
If you're interested in going and seeing that process, just go back to the vlog. We captured it in the first 3 or 4 episodes of the vlog, which is like going from an apartment with no furniture to fully furnished. And all we actually do a video where we walk around the apartment and cover off all the costs of everything and where we got it from, which was like one of the videos that feels like it's helped a bunch of people. And I guess one thing I've learned of just meeting people, it's like the stuff that we take for granted, but we include in the vlog, the little stuff of like how much stuff costs, where stuff comes from, apparently that's the stuff that's adding the most value. Can you be careful putting your phone on there? You keep like, it's going to sound really tinny in people's ears. You're just throwing your phone around. You put your phone down as if you're done. There's still some questions.
I am done. I've answered all mine.
Sorry, you look like you're just ready to walk off. Okay, you haven't actually, because there's a question for both of us. But I will get to Nicola Eccleston, who says, thanks for this, really helpful. Do you need to pay the broker fees and security fees up front too? And can they be added across the checks? Short answer, all paid up front, can't be spread out across the check payment. Then there was another question up here, which was relating to checks. So let me just find that.
Just on that note, how did you get like the easiest handle to say as well?
Pause on that thinking, because Shivzua2957 asks, if I pay for my apartment in 2 checks, do you think I'll be able to negotiate a cheaper amount for the annual rent since I'm paying in 2 checks? So I'll answer the question first, then I'll cover off what checks are in case people don't know very briefly. I would just say everything is a negotiation. So, hey, if they are saying, if you get the sense that the landlord is flexible on checks and it might say like 12 checks on the, or flexible on checks or 12 checks on the listing on something like Beirut, try and use that as a negotiation point always. I would just say, if you've got a good broker, and we did, ask him to or her to support you and get the best price, and just say, hey, is there a better deal if I pay in a smaller number of checks? Second part, in terms of like what are checks, they are exactly what you think. And it does feel like you come to Dubai and you walk around and you see places like Museum of the Future and then you're asked to write a physical check. It's so odd. But
it's the only thing that really seems behind the times.
No, there's another thing. Paying cash on delivery is still standard out here. There is still, like, if you buy stuff online, you can pay cash on delivery, which I find mental as well. But anyway, what are checks? In order to get, for us, like to rent an apartment, you need to write physical checks. So when you go and do the deal on the place, you will write, for us, 4 checks, which is a quarterly payment of your rent. So for easy maths, let's just say your rent is 100,000 dirhams. Then you will write 4 checks, 25,000 dirhams each, and you will physically hand over those checks. And on the dates that they are due to be cashed, they will get cashed and the money will come from your bank. But you actually physically hand those over. You need those in place in order to get a property over here. Last question, which you are involved on, Hun. Afran I1Y. Our fan, actually. I'm not going to get hung up on these names, or handles as you called it. I wonder what you guys do for work and how easy or difficult you found to switch into your roles in Dubai.
I haven't prepared for this one.
Ooh, 1-1 on failed preparation.
No, it's not, because we said that we're going to cover this off on a separate video.
Disagree. What do you do for work, Sarah? Talk to me. Pitch me. I've prepared, so I'm definitely answering it now.
So I run my own digital marketing agency, which we have been, I've been doing for the past over 10 years now. Yep. We solely look after the construction industry. And then about a year ago, we also have another marketing agency where we deal with D2C brands, but that is in early stages.
And how have you found switching roles to Dubai?
I mean, I haven't switched roles. I'm still doing the same role, but I definitely think here, having UK clients. Oh, why are you smirking?
I'm not smirking. I'm smiling because you go so literal with the question. I love you for it. Carry on. It was just a smile at my wife.
Okay. So, I think I mentioned before that I do find the time difference of having UK clients and a UK-based team that I get a lot of work done in the morning before any distractions of people slacking, emailing me. So yeah, that is when I get my deep work done. And then when the UK wake up, that's when it's like calls
on meetings. So from my side, I actually wrote down, feels like I'm pitching myself here, but in terms of my work, like you, it's haven't changed role to Dubai, and I think it's an important note. It's not as if we like had UK jobs and then have come out here to find local jobs here. I wouldn't want that. And we looked at actually what do careers look like over the next 3, 5, 10 years. I think one of my considerations and things I'm looking forward to is, one, the deep work in the morning when you're working largely with like the UK, really enjoy those golden hours. 2, having a rollout here would actually take away from one of our like key priorities, which is walking the kids to school and bits like that. So it creates a bit of flexibility in the morning. So in terms of what I do, I founded and involved in a couple of companies and spend most of my time as a chief commercial officer for an agency or a consultancy. So that role hasn't changed. And I think the time zone difference, as we've mentioned, is great. I think one of the challenges, again, with the time zone, which is it's actually quite challenging for me, and I'm not sure for you, but to get up, I love those golden hours, so I work. So I'm working 3-4 hours before the UK wakes up on their time zone. But I then slip into working another full shift for like the UK time zone. And then you're not exposed to this, but I have some US clients. So like it's +3 to London, then it's like plus another 5 to Miami where we've got some clients. So there's been some times when it's been like calls at 10:30 at night. So that's a consideration when you're living out here and working across different time zones. And I think the way to navigate it is just setting up like clear rules and boundaries of like when you work and when you don't. Specifically like for you, your team know when you're working. For me, I haven't really nailed that yet. It's kind of like just like one long session. I'm trying to just find time for the family in between. I think in a perfect world, it would be enjoy the golden hours in the morning, do like a bit of a few hour overlap with the UK in case there's anything that's needed, then sort of midday UK, 3 o'clock here, have an hour and a half out with the family and spend some time when the kids finish school, then get back into the work to sort of support the back end of the UK shift in case there's anything that's needed. I think that's what I'm looking to do anyway. All right. Anything else?
No.
Cool. On that note, guys, if you have any more questions, always just throw them into the comments. Sarah's going to collect them and we'll probably do this every time there's like 10, 12, 15 questions to answer, we'll jump in. I'm not entirely sure how long we've gone here, but I just wanted to check. Yeah, it's like 40 minutes. Wow. So I'm going to do my best not to have to edit these so we can get them shipped out straight away. Guys, thanks so much. For everyone the last week has been pretty cool because I think 3 or 4 times people have bumped into us and said, we know you, which is
it's
awesome.
mind-blowing.
Thank you for everyone that has said hi. Looking forward to hanging out with people. I actually had a weird idea. I was like, we should do like a Dubai diary like meet up in like 3 months time of just people that are knocking about and just go for a coffee or something together.
That's a really good idea.
It sounds pretty cool, doesn't it? Because everyone seems to be our sort of people, which is fun. On that note, if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to hit subscribe, do all the bells and the whistles and all that good stuff. And at some point in the future, if you do prefer to listen to podcasts, because naturally this is just talking head stuff, we are going to get this into podcatchers so you can just listen on the go because this is very much a different type of content. Anything else from you?
No.
All right, let's get into the day.